When I started setting up my first home studio as a sophomore in high school, I had no idea where to start. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of recording equipment and whatnot, trying to learn exactly how these things work together, but I found that they were extremely vague and tended to skip over a lot of things. And so I was left with a lot of questions like, what's that button for? Can I plug a guitar into that? What's on the back? How do I connect speakers to my audio interface? Do I need a male-female cable or a female-female cable? And while these questions might seem like common sense to people who are already familiar with recording equipment, there's still important things that we need to go over. And so I've created a video for those of you who are absolutely new to recording equipment, have no idea what they're doing, to get you started on creating your own home studio. So I'm going to be going over 7 essential things that you need in your home studio. I'm going to go over exactly how those things work together to function properly, and at the end I'm going to be discussing different options for your specific budget and purpose. So let's get started. So within building up your home studio, there's what I like to call 2 main paths that you could take: the USB path and the XLR path. The USB path is probably the most simple and most affordable path that you could take. You simply just plug your USB microphone into your computer with recording software loaded onto it. This path will cost you around $100 or less. It's great for podcasters, voiceovers, YouTubers, or musicians just looking to get their feet wet. The XLR path requires more equipment than a mic and a computer. It's more expensive, but in the long run you're provided with more flexibility and expandability. You'll be using XLR microphones which can't plug directly into your computer, so you're going to need an audio interface, which I'll talk about later in the video. The XLR path is what you see in professional recording studios, and it's great for musicians and bands. Which path you take depends largely on your budget and your needs, but either will work for any purpose. Now that we have the 2 paths covered, we can talk about the 7 essential things that you need within your home studio. Now, if you're considering going USB, you'll probably not need all of these things, but you should still stick around to the end of the video because I have something that you might find useful. The first thing you'll need is a computer. No, you don't need an extremely fancy, brand new, expensive computer. You just need one that will run well. Along with your computer, you're going to need software to record your music on, also known as a digital audio workstation. This is where all of your recordings go, where you're going to mix, cut, and organize all of your tracks, put in effects, etc. Now, if you're just starting, I suggest GarageBand for Mac users and Audacity for PC users. They're both free and great to use, and there's tons of tutorials on YouTube explaining how to use both of these programs. The second thing that you're going to need is an audio interface, also sometimes called a preamp. This serves as a connection between your XLR microphone and your computer. Audio interfaces come in several different shapes and sizes and differ in the number of outputs and inputs. The one that I use is a Focusrite 2i2. It costs around $130. It has 2 inputs that can take both XLR and 1/4 inch cables, so you can plug in microphones and any instrument that requires a 1/4 inch cable. You can plug your headphones into the front, or you can plug in speakers in the back via 1/4 inch cable, and the audio interface itself connects to your computer via USB. The third thing that you're going to need is a microphone. There's lots of different types of microphones, but the most common ones that you'll find are large condenser microphones and dynamic microphones. This is an Audio-Technica 4040 large condenser microphone. These mics tend to be more sensitive than dynamic mics, and they're great for recording all types of instruments. This is a Shure SM57 dynamic mic. They're not as sensitive as large condenser microphones, but they're great for all purposes, especially instruments that are really loud, like loud vocals or guitar amps or drums. Either mic will do a great job at recording whatever instrument that you need. Now, I do want to mention that a lot of large condenser microphones require something called phantom power. This just means that they require an extra 48 volts of power in order to work. Several audio interfaces, including the Focusrite 2i2, will supply phantom power, so when you're purchasing your microphone, just make sure to check if it needs phantom power or not. The fourth essential thing that you're going to need is a female to male XLR cable. The female end connects to the mic and the male end connects to the audio interface. What brand you get doesn't really matter that much. You just want to make sure that it's durable because you don't want to get a $5 cheap cable that is going to break on you super easily. The fifth essential thing that you will need are headphones. Now, I'm gonna assume that the majority of you probably already have headphones. When recording, you can't use speakers to monitor over what you're recording because that sound is going to transfer over to your microphone and it's gonna mess up your mix. Any headphones will do as long as they're closed back and don't leak. But I do suggest getting over-the-ear headphones and ones with a long cable. It'll be a lot more convenient for you to move around your studio when you're recording. I suggest the Tascam TH02 headphones, costing around $20 on Amazon. The headphones plug in straight into your audio interface, but you're going to need a 1/8 to 1/4 inch adapter. The sixth essential thing you'll need is a boom stand. Recording different instruments requires different mic positions, so you're not going to want to always be holding your mic when you're recording. When you buy your mic, it most likely will come with something to attach the mic to the stand. It's as simple as attaching the mic onto the stabilizer and then screwing the stabilizer onto the mic stand. Now, the final thing that you're going to need is acoustic treatment. I cannot stress how important it is to have acoustic treatment in your home studio. Acoustic treatment is basically those foam squares that you see in recording studios that are set up in checkerboard patterns. Now, the purpose of those foam squares is not to soundproof the room, rather it's to absorb extra sound coming from the room. So what I mean is, when I clap my hands, you can hear a lot of echo bouncing off the walls. Putting those foam squares up on the wall will decrease the amount of echo bouncing off the walls. If you don't have good acoustic treatment, that extra sound is going to bounce straight back into your microphone and you'll be able to hear it in your mix, and you don't want that. But you don't need to buy extremely expensive foam to get good acoustic treatment. You could literally just shove your microphone into a closet full of clothes and record there. Or what I prefer to get are packing blankets from Home Depot. They're relatively inexpensive, costing around $20 a piece, and they cover a huge amount of area. Not only that, they're great at absorbing extra sound. Now that you know what the 7 essential things are for building a home studio, let's recap and go over how everything is connected. So you have your mic set up on your boom stand, probably next to a packing blanket or acoustic treatment. It's connected via XLR to your audio interface. Your headphones are plugged into your audio interface as well, and the audio interface itself is plugged in via USB to your computer, which has recording software loaded onto it. So now you're probably wondering, what microphone should I get? What audio interface should I buy? How much is a good microphone? What are good brands that I should go to? Now, the biggest thing to keep in mind when you're purchasing equipment is that you do not need to spend a ton of money. So what I mean is, don't go buying a $600 mic expecting it to sound amazing just because it's expensive. There are a lot of other factors besides brand and price that go into creating a good mix. The recording of a complete noob with a $600 mic is not going to sound as good as the recording of a professional's who's just using an $80 mic. It has a lot to do with, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to use the mic? Are you positioning the mic correctly? And what does your room sound like? Do you have good acoustic treatment? If you're just starting, obviously your recordings are not going to sound as amazing as the songs that you hear on the radio just because you have a really expensive microphone. Good recordings come with practice and experience, so you can't just buy your way into good mixes. I've created a flowchart on my blog showing tons of different equipment packages that you could purchase based on your specific budget and purpose. There's 12 different options that you can choose from. I even included links directing to where you can buy those pieces of equipment. Those options are not rules that you need to follow by. They're just suggestions that I have for you. I'll put the link somewhere on the screen and in the description. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you, to those of you who are starting to get into recording. In no way do I claim this guide to be perfect, so if you have any questions or things that I might have left out, let me know by replying in the comments. And yeah, so go get recording. For those of you who are absolutely brand new to recording, what? Hello.